You know that feeling a broken bar when you've done everything they told you to do, worked hard, sacrificed sleep, chased goals, and yet, there's still something missing. You look around and wonder, is this it? That was me, a broken bar, until one truth shattered everything I thought I knew about success. I wasn't broke in my bank account too, I was broke in my soul. And I only got truly rich when I understood this: wealth is not what you hold in your hands, it's what you hold in your heart. True wealth is internal, not external. There's a strange illusion that chokes most people in silence, the belief that happiness is something we can buy, wear, drive, or post. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning, the world screams that wealth is external. It tells us that we're behind if we don't own what others flaunt. It whispers that more equals better, and better equals fulfilled. But that is a lie dressed in diamonds. Because no matter how much you earn, if your soul is starving, you are still poor. The ancients knew something we've forgotten in the noise of modern life: you can be materially rich and spiritually bankrupt. You can have a mansion and still feel homeless inside. You can wear luxury and still carry shame. You can have followers online and feel utterly alone in the quiet of your own mind. That's why the Stoics, some of the most powerful and influential men of their time, deliberately practiced going without. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, wrote to himself about the temporary nature of life. He didn't glorify his position or he humbled it. He reminded himself that none of it belonged to him. The palaces, the titles, the power, it would all return to dust. The only thing that mattered was the strength of his character, the clarity of his mind, and his ability to live according to reason and virtue. That's true wealth. And it's a wealth no one can take from you, because when your peace is based on possessions, it can be stolen in a fire, lost in a crash, or drained in a market collapse. But when your peace is based on perspective, discipline, and inner strength, it becomes untouchable. That kind of wealth lives in your breath, in your choices, in the way you rise after falling. I've met people with nothing in their pockets but everything in their spirit. Their eyes carried a calm that money can't fake. They walked into rooms with no need to prove anything because they knew who they were when everything was silent. That's a different kind of power. That's self-possession. That's internal wealth. You can't flex that on Instagram, but it shows up in how you handle betrayal, how you sit with pain, how you treat others when there's nothing to gain. It reveals itself in restraint, in how little you need to stay steady, in how deeply you listen instead of constantly trying to be heard. Real wealth is the ability to say, I have enough. Real wealth is not craving the validation of others. Real wealth is walking away when your peace costs too much. We live in a world that's addicted to more speed, more attention, more likes, more wins. But the Stoic stands in the center of all that noise and says, what if less is the answer? What if cutting away the unnecessary is how we find the essential? What if true wealth isn't accumulation but elimination? The reason so many people are tired isn't because they lack money, it's because they lack alignment. They're living lives they never chose, chasing goals they never questioned, and spending energy on things that drain them instead of build them. Their calendars are full, but their hearts are empty. So the Stoic turns inward. He doesn't ask, how much can I earn? He asks, what do I really need? He doesn't chase applause, he questions it. He knows that applause fades, but integrity lasts. He knows that the praise of the crowd is fickle, but self-respect is permanent. True wealth is the ability to be okay in your own presence. Can you sit in? Control over self is the highest currency. In a world where everyone is trying to control everything, timelines, outcomes, people, opinions, the Stoic remains centered because he knows the only thing he can truly command is himself. That's the real power. That's the real wealth. Control over self is the highest currency. It's the kind of richness that never loses its value, never crashes in a recession, and never fades with age. It compounds daily, not in your bank account, but in your being. Every day, life gives you two options: react, or respond. Most people react. They are slaves to their impulses, chained to the ever-changing winds of emotion. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and they explode. Someone criticizes them, and they spiral into insecurity. They hear no, and it shakes their worth. Their internal world is dictated by external circumstances. They don't live here, they are pushed, pulled, and played like puppets. But the Stoic doesn't allow that. He recognizes that the only true freedom is found in self-mastery. And self-mastery is not about suppressing emotions, it's about not letting emotions make decisions for you. It's about pausing before speaking, reflecting before reacting, choosing peace over proving a point. That control is the rarest kind of wealth in this modern age, because almost no one has it. Most people think power is how loud you are, how many followers you have, how many people obey you. But Stoic power is quiet. It's invisible. It's the power to stay calm in chaos. The power to choose dignity when disrespected. The power to delay gratification in a world addicted to now. And nothing and no fame, no amount of money, no title can match that. Control over self is a form of silent confidence. It's what allows a person to walk away from what doesn't serve them without needing to explain. It's the discipline to say no to temptation, not because you're afraid to indulge here but because you know indulgence without restraint becomes a prison. It's the ability to face hardship without collapsing, because you've trained your mind to bend without breaking. The Stoics didn't run from pain, they studied it. They welcomed discomfort as a teacher, because they knew every moment of suffering was a chance to build strength. Every challenge was an invitation to sharpen character. That is the practice of self-control, not avoidance, not escape, but engagement with clarity and intention. That's what makes it a currency, because you pay for a peaceful life with the discipline of the mind. You won't see that kind of wealth in someone's wardrobe, but you'll feel it when they speak. You'll see it in the way they hold themselves. Even under pressure, they don't flinch when insulted. They don't crumble when disappointed. They don't chase approval, because they've already approved of themselves. And that's not arrogancy, it's sovereignty. It's the understanding that no one else is responsible for their internal state. Not a boss, not a partner, not society, just them. In fact, if you want to know how wealthy someone really is, don't look at their possessions, look at their patterns. How do they behave when they don't get what they want? How do they treat others when they're stressed? How often do they give in to every craving, every emotion, every fear? That will tell you everything, because a person who has no control over themselves can't build anything lasting, and not peace, not success, not love. They're always at the mercy of their impulses. But the man or woman who has learned to master themselves, even a little, now that's someone who's powerful beyond measure. That person can. Control over self is the highest currency. There is a form of wealth that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. It can't be flaunted, borrowed, or stolen. It doesn't depend on trends, markets, or approval. It's invisible to the eye but undeniable in presence. That wealth is self-control. And once you understand this, everything changes. In a world obsessed with controlling outcomes, circumstances, and other people, the Stoic walks a different path. He understands that the only thing truly within his power is himself, his thoughts, his choices, and his reactions. And in that realization, he becomes rich, not with gold, but with power, not with influence, but with mastery, not with possessions, but with peace. Most people spend their lives trying to control everything outside of them. They try to control the behavior of others, manipulate outcomes, shape opinions, and bend reality to their desires. But the tragedy is that they never learn to control themselves. Their emotions control them, their past controls them, their habits and fears pull the strings, and they dance like puppets to the rhythm of chaos. But the Stoic says, I will rule what is mine to rule, and let the rest pass by like clouds in the sky. This is the highest form of wealth, to own yourself. Control over self is not about denial, it's about direction. It's not about bottling up emotions, it's about learning not to be led by them. The person who can stand firm while emotions roar inside, who can choose silence instead of shouting, who can take a breath instead of taking revenge, that person is rare. That person is dangerous. That person is free. Because freedom isn't doing whatever you feel like. That's slavery to impulse. Freedom is being able to feel everything without being owned by anything. It's the space between emotion and action, where wisdom steps in and says, "Number, not that, not this time." To possess yourself is the ultimate form of power. When you can say no to your cravings, your pride, your ego, your need to be right, your fear of being alone, that's wealth. Because most people can't. Most people are dragged through life by their unexamined emotions, triggered by anything that challenges their fragile sense of control. But self-control makes you unshakable. It makes you the calm in the storm, the steady hand in the fire. It gives you composure in moments when others unravel. It gives you clarity when noise surrounds you. It gives you discipline in a world built on distraction. Look around. People will sell their soul for temporary comfort. They will betray their values for approval. They will abandon discipline for the sweet taste of indulgence. They will trade peace for popularity, and then wonder why they feel empty. But the one who holds the line within, who practices restraint, who sharpens their will like a blade, that one walks with quiet strength. That one can look in the mirror and see someone they trust. That one builds a foundation that cannot be shaken by fortune or failure. When you have control over yourself, you no longer fear loss. You no longer depend on others to make you whole. You no longer seek to dominate, because you already reign over your most powerful kingdom, your own mind. Seneca said, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions." Think about that. You may have money, status, and fame, but if you explode with anger when things don't go your way, if you crumble under pressure, if you need to numb yourself with pleasure just to face the die, then you are not rich. You are ruled, and the one who rules you is within you. There's a quiet kind of wealth in the man who can feel anger rise and choose stillness instead of violence. In the woman who can feel fear and choose courage anyway. In the soul who knows pain but chooses compassion, who feels ego but chooses humility. It takes strength to hold yourself steady when every part of you wants to lash out, run, blame, escape, give in. That strength doesn't come from luck or gift, so it comes from discipline. From choosing over and over again to practice mastery. From falling and standing back up. From watching your own mind and saying, "Not today. I serve a higher purpose." Every time you delay a reaction, you deposit into the bank of strength. Every time you let go of the need to win the argument, you grow richer in inner peace. Every time you choose action over impulse, character over comfort, patience over panic, you are becoming wealthy in a way this world cannot measure. This is what the Stoics knew. Life cannot be controlled. People will betray you. Things will break. Plans will fall apart. But none of it can touch you if you are not in pieces. And the only way to not be in pieces is to become whole inside. That is what self-control gives you. Wholeness. A center that holds, no matter what spins around you. So when the storm comes, and it always comes, the one who has trained their mind will not be moved. They may bend, but they will not break, because their roots run deep in discipline. Their foundation is not built on approval or comfort or outcomes, but on choices. Deliberate, daily, difficult choices that forge something stronger than success. Integrity. Control over self gives you peace without needing perfect conditions. It gives you joy that isn't dependent on anything outside of you. It gives you power that isn't louder but lasts. And in a world that runs on noise, that's the rarest kind of wealth there is. You can spend your life chasing status and still feel like a beggar at the mercy of every bad day. Or you can build the kind of strength that turns chaos into clarity, pain into wisdom, and silence into your sharpest weapon. The path isn't easy, but it's worth everything. Because on that path, you don't just survive here, you become something unshakable, something sovereign, something free. I found abundance in gratitude, not greed. And so I say this to you, if you want to be richer, truly richer, don't ask, "What do I need to get?" Ask, "What can I learn to live without?" Because the richest souls are those who carry nothing a broken bar except wisdom, strength, and peace.